Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Just want to do a quick check. I believe we are live, so if somebody could put a message in the chat that you can hear us, that would be great. And I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I will go ahead and assume we are live and moving along. Welcome to the Trails Less Traveled panel session. This is a high school track session focused on alternatives to immediately pursuing a four-year degree. My name is Christy Jones. I'm the Senior Manager of Higher Education Programs at National Wildlife Federation, and I will be moderating today's session. Today, during the session, our presenters will discuss a variety of programs and opportunities for high school students to consider in lieu of directly transitioning from high school to a four-year degree program. So before we get started, I wanted to do a poll. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. All right, and it should pop up on your screen. The poll is, which of the following people did not attend a four-year degree program? I'll give folks a couple minutes. All right, just a little bit more time. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. See what folks said. Let's see. All right, so did not attend a four-year degree. So it was a trick question. All of these people on this list did not attend a four-year degree program. So if you want to run the world, then you do not need a four-year degree. Although Beyonce probably already took that role from you, so maybe, maybe not. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Thanks for participating in that poll. We're going to go ahead and start with Dr. Maria Bocalandro. Maria is Dean of Special Academic Programs at Dallas College and a sustainable urban planner with a master's degree in urban transportation and a PhD in political science. She was formerly the Director of Sustainability and Programs in the Office of Advancement of the Cedar Valley campus of Dallas College and also worked for the Dallas College Sustainability Team. Maria has 30 years of experience teaching associate, bachelor, and postgraduate courses in community colleges and universities in the US and Latin America. She is also an entrepreneur, having co-founded a consulting firm for strategic planning, organizational development, project management, coaching, and workforce training. Maria came to the US in 2007 with an investment visa to open the US branch of her Venezuelan consulting firm. She is now a US citizen. In 2019, she was selected as a finalist for the 2019 Immigrant Journey Award and won the Ford Foundation 2019 Mujer Legendaria Award for her leadership and contributions in sustainable development. So Maria, what advice do you give to high school students that are mapping out their academic and career pathways? And are there any common myths about attending community college that you would like to dispel?
Thank you so much, Christy. And I want to also thank you, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Perry, and Ms. Amore for being on this panel. And the first thing is, I am not an example of community colleges because I come from a country that doesn't have community colleges. So the first myth is, does every country have community colleges? I would say no. US is one of the few countries that has such a robust system of community colleges. And one of the myths is that community colleges are easier, they're not the same level, and that's not true. All our community college credits transfer to 4 years. I'm a government instructor, and I always tell my students I can't water down the government class, because if you transfer to Rice or to Yale or to Princeton or to Texas A&M, this government I'm teaching you, federal government, will transfer with you and has to be at the same level. And then another of the myths colleges, and they call them junior colleges, which is like diminutive because it means you're a small university, is also a huge myth, because the community college system I work with has 85,000 students. And I would dare to challenge all the universities out there, how many of you have 85,000 students? So those are just part of the myths. I would also love to start with a poll, which is, I'm going to launch this poll, and it says, do you know what is a community college? What is a community college? What do you think it is? What is its definition? And just put yes or no. It's simple. Do you know what a community college is? Okay. Yay, that 100% said they knew what a community college is. That is really cool. So I'm not going to go into what we are. I'm going to ask you another question. So this is the next one. So the question is, are you interested in going directly to work or studying at a four-year college or university if you're just finishing high school? Or maybe you're in a career transition. You know, are you interested in continuing to work and change a different career, or do you want to go to a four-year? And so I am leaving that open. Let's see what I'd like to know my audience so that I can tweak my presentation to your needs. So the next one is, let me end this, and then somebody, of course, is calling me. So I have 100% want to go to a four-year. So that's very, very good to know, because I am going to give you a presentation that's tailored just for you. Let me pull it up. Let's share the screen. And okay, do you see the screen? I'm gonna have to ask my peers if they see the screen.
I don't see it yet. Oh, yep, there it is. There you go.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Okay, great. And how many minutes do I have, Christy? Because I did the polls and I just want to be mindful.
Oh, right. So your talk is until 3:45.
Perfect. Okay. So the first slide, and you can see it here, and there's 1,167 community colleges and more than 12 million students. And that means that almost half of all the undergraduate students in the United States are in community colleges. And then the beauty of these community colleges, and I didn't have the privilege of studying at one of those when I was out of high school. As a professional, I've done courses in the community college. I've done courses that complement my professional development and things for fun. I was part of a choir, so I took music classes. I took piano classes as well. I'm thinking of learning how to play golf, and that's something I can learn how to do in a community college. But the beauty of it, it's open to any person that has finished their high school. You do not have to present, any tests or, get your grades to a certain level. We will evaluate you as you come to a community college and see what level of English, math you're prepared to transfer you to a four-year, or you could go to the workforce as well. And there's also those non-credit programs that I was talking about that I've taken plenty. So the uniqueness of community colleges is that it's a really good pathway to a four-year degree. And this is because we are accredited. That means the credits you get here will transfer to your community college. If you're doing it in the same state, for example, we are Dallas College, they transfer to all the four-year, and they're the core courses that you need for any career. I will be going into the different careers. Then another beauty of it is the affordability. Instead of paying $7,000 a year, and that's just in tuition, the average cost is $2,000. And so whoever likes math, it's substantially less costly. And it's because you're paying with taxes. If in our system, we're a county level, so the county charges taxes, and that's where a lot of the payment comes from. So you're only paying $72 a credit instead of 1,000 something that you would pay in a university. And then we are very in tune with the businesses because we want to be preparing the workforce. So we have a lot of programs that are just certificates, stackable certificates. Like if you're not sure what you want to study, maybe you do a certificate. And once you get the certificate, you have more clarity on what you want to do, and it's stackable. And as I said before, we're flexible, affordable, and we're doing relevant programs. So this is Dallas College. We have 80,000 plus students, and you can see the different campuses. We're over 50 years old. That means we're upgrading all our buildings. We're being more sustainable in our buildings, and we've just done a huge reorg where we're adapting to meet students where they're at. We have a huge dual credit program and early college as well. Many of our students will graduate chronologically, first with their associate degree and then with their high school degree because they're working in an early college setting. These are the 7 schools that we have, and then I'm just going to give you some examples of sustainability pathways you could work on going first to a community college and then transferring. And we're really big about the sustainable development goals. I will put in the chat some links so you can see some videos. We are embedding sustainability in practically all the courses and very much so aligned to these goals. And so these are some of the schools that we have: engineering, technology, mathematics, and science. And you see the associate of science, you can get any one of these. And for example, cybersecurity, you will get a job right away with your associate. And then that can help you pay for your 4-year if that's something you want to do. But that's really a big field right now. School of Manufacturing and Industrial Technology, and then there you have anything that has to do with technology, engineering technology, geographic information systems. Now that we have a phone and we're using the app to get to places, everything has GIS systems, so that's another one. Logistics and supply chain, depending where you live. Here in Dallas, we are a huge hub of cargo that goes between Canada, United States, and Mexico. So logistics and supply chain management is something that's very big in this region. Then we also have the School of Business and Hospitality. We know this has been hit very hard by COVID, but we will be opening up a lot of hospitality and global trade. That's interesting because it's going to start up again. Then we have public service, and then you have things that have to do with geography. If you're into human rights and peace, that's something, equity is something that's being put into many businesses are opening up social responsibility units or diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that's something you could study. And then we have the School of Creative Arts, Entertainment, and Design. And this is where I kind of go to when I want to do some professional development. And so if you're into fashion or you like more foreign languages, or you're into music, at Cedar Valley campus, we have an incredible music production program. And so the musicians are learning how to create their music, market their music, promote their music. And after they get their associate in music production, then they'll go to the 4-year school, for example, University of North Texas, and get their 4-year degree in music where they study the classics, but they already have something they can work with in the workforce if they need to pay their 4-year school while working. And then this is new, the School of Education. It's our first bachelor degree. So we are now offering an associate in child development and early childhood, and you can then continue to your bachelor in School of Education. And then health and science is huge. With COVID-19, many technicians have been able we've been able to graduate, get into the workforce. And then we have certifications as well. So if you're going to be working at a summer camp, you need CPR, or you're going to be a lifeguard or something like that. So you can also get that. Now, the statistics about sustainability careers, and I will put this here on the chat, they're saying there's green jobs and sustainable careers in these 4 areas. So if you're thinking of engineering, management, science, or these other careers, you will get a job right away. And I think this is the most important. My final message would be, please do not go into debt, because getting out of that student debt is really hard. Do it the smart way. If you can save money, get out with a certificate, get into the job market, then continue to do your 4-year. That would be the best way. Or maybe get all your core courses out of the way and then go to the transfer to the 4-year. So I'm ready for questions and discussion. I know, Christy, we will have time for that later. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. That was wonderful. That was really interesting to learn about the sustainability pathways at Dallas College. But yes, we will have time for question and discussion towards the end of the session. So next we will hear from Dr. Brian Robinson. Brian is a policy associate with Advanced CTE, where he supports strategies to improve the quality and effective use of career and technical education data. Brian also manages Advanced CTE's work-based learning portfolio, focused on supporting state efforts to increase equitable access to and success in high-quality work-based learning opportunities. Prior to joining Advanced CTE, Brian was an elementary school teacher in the Washington, D.C. metro area. He holds a master's degree in education curriculum and instruction from American University, and recently earned a doctorate degree in education policy and leadership from New York University. So Brian, many still view career and technical education as akin to the vocational tech schools of the past, but it has grown and developed over the years to incorporate a wide range of specialties. And in fact, most students now take at least one CTE course while they're in high school, but they might not realize it. What do you see as the benefits of CTE, and where do you see the world of CTE going?
Sure. Thanks, Christy, for that introduction. And I hope to talk about the benefits of CTE in a moment. But I acknowledge the point you made that, CTE, previously known as vocational education, has had a long and challenging history of tracking students, mostly students of color, from low-income backgrounds or students with disabilities, into low-wage, dead-end jobs. However, as you mentioned, CTE has evolved tremendously to be something that over 75% of high school students experience, and is much more focused on the integration of college and career skills and exposure to high-wage and demand occupations. I think CTE is going to continue to play a significant role in the development of a skilled workforce. Even before COVID-19, we saw a shift from the everyone must go to college message that students were used to receiving, at least students from my generation, to ensuring that college should be an option, but recognizing that there are alternative ways to pursuing a self-sustaining career path. And I expect to continue to see significant investments by state and local school districts and at the federal level in supporting expanded access to and support for success in high-quality CTE programs. So just to kind of get a little rewind to some of the benefits of CTE. First, what is CTE, right? CTE stands for Career and Technical Education, and it's an education program where students can explore different career interests and gain the knowledge and skills that they need to be successful and prepared for college and careers. Students take courses in a particular program of study, which I'll explain in a moment, but those courses emphasize real-world skills within a selected career focus, in addition to the regular academic courses, the math, the English, etc., that students take. And it's really great because similar to what Maria was saying before about community colleges, with CTE, you can kind of explore what careers you like and what careers you don't like, before going to college and spending any money at all on majors and classes, only to learn later that it's not something that you are really interested in or really passionate about. So in CTE, the program of study belongs to 16 different career clusters, and I don't have a PowerPoint, but I'm going to share with you my screen to kind of walk you through what those look like. So this is Advanced CTE's homepage, and we have the 16 career clusters. You go into career technical education and career clusters, and you'll see that again. There's 16 of them here, and so they range from a wide range of industries, from agriculture, architecture, education, health sciences, STEM, and a host of others. And so these, and so in each career cluster, there and programs of study, there are a set of classes that are focused around a particular occupation. So considering the audience here, most of you may be interested in STEM, and so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so you can see that there are a wide range of occupations that fall under this particular career cluster, from environmental engineering to marine biologists, marine scientists, computer science technician, a whole host of occupations. And so many of you may attend a school that has a CTE program, and if not, there are likely schools or career centers in your district or city or town that you can attend. And if you are interested, I would encourage you to speak to your school counselor. So through, let me stop sharing. Okay. So there are lots of programs. Some of the benefits, some of the benefits that to CTE, you can earn certifications and credentials that you can take with you into the workforce after high school, or build on through post-secondary education at your local community college, as Maria was explaining before, at a technical college, or even at a four-year university. There are also lots of programs, partnerships between your local school district and local and state colleges, where you can earn college credits while in high school, and you can take those credits with you to a community college, to a four-year college, or in some cases, you can even earn an associate's degree while you are still in high school. And all of this is typically free, or at least at very low cost to you, the student. CTE also allows learners to apply what they learn through hands-on projects and engage with mentors. And the last thing I'll share with you is a career cluster survey that, and I'll share the links with these resources with you as well. But it's a career cluster survey that, one second, okay. So this is a career cluster survey, and when students can use the career cluster survey to really explore potential career paths by thinking about what they like, what they feel that they're good at, what qualities they feel they have, what activities are interesting to them, and you kind of just score yourself based on the different statements and options here. And then afterwards, you add up your score, and then it gives you an idea of, based on your skills, based on your interests, based on your personality, what kind of career options might be interesting to you. And then after you do that, then you can go back to the career clusters page and explore some of the knowledge and skills that you may need in order to be successful in that career cluster, some of the career options in that career cluster, and so on. So that is the career interest survey. Like I said, I'll share that link with you. But it's real, and there's also, this is in English, but there's also, if you go to the website, which I'll share with you, there's a Spanish version that you can click on and you can download that as well if Spanish is a better option for you. So our website kind of allows you to explore different occupations and career clusters, knowledge and skills, and things that, and also there's a sample plan of study. So there's a ton of resources there that you can find to kind of learn more about, the different options that are out there for you, different paths that are out there for you, and really explore what's best for you. And so that's all I have, Chrissy.
Great. Thank you, Brian. That was wonderful. It's really important. I'm so glad that you kind of started off your talk about highlighting how important it is for that career and technical education programs will ensure we have a skilled workforce moving forward. So I think that was very important to start off with. So we will go ahead. Next, we'll hear from LaShante Moore, a Member Services Associate for the Core Network. LaShante joined the Core Network in 2016 as a fellow to the Education and Workforce Development Department and is now the Member Services Associate. She brings 16 years of environmental services to her position. She started as an AmeriCorps member at Earth Conservation Corps, a DC-based environmental organization. She completed 2 terms and was asked to join the staff as a site manager. After 6 months, she was promoted to youth program coordinator. LaShante has been featured on 60 Minutes, Now with Bill Moyers, and in People magazine. In her free time, she enjoys spending time with her family, reading, and traveling. So LaShante, please tell us about the Core Network and the opportunities and benefits to students who incorporate core work in their academic and career plans.
Sure. Thank you, Christy. But before we jump in, I'm having a problem cutting my camera on. Can you do it from the host option?
I can see, yeah. Let me see if I know how to do that. Let's see. Let's see if I know how. All right, why don't you go ahead and get started and let me see if I can figure that out for you, if that's okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. And excuse me, you guys, for the technical difficulties. My name is LaShante Moore. I'm the Member Services Associate.
I apologize, LaShante, real quick. Do you see the camera icon on the left side in the blue panel?
I do. I'm clicking it, but it won't allow me to.
It's not. It's just being pesky today. Okay, I apologize. Go ahead and continue, and I'll see if I can figure it out.
Great, thanks. Again, my name is LaShante Moore. I'm the Member Services Associate for the Core Network. The Core Network is the National Association of Service and Conservation Corps. We support core programs through advocacy, providing access to funding and projects, and offering expertise in core operations. I'm not sure how many of you know exactly what a core is. Cores are organizations that engage young adults, usually ages 16 to 25, in service addressing conservation and community needs. Through a defined term of service, core members gain work experience and develop in-demand skills. I really advocate for core programs because, as Christy said to you through my bio, I'm a former AmeriCorps member. The core program that I joined was Earth Conservation Corps, based in Washington, D.C. At the time, was one of the only all African American corps in the entire country. I joined the Corps and a lot of people join Corps because they want to give back to their community or perform service. Some people choose to take a term of service as a gap year, but that wasn't my reasoning for joining the Corps. When I was younger, I had difficulties completing high school, and so I ended up dropping out right at my senior year, and I had a child, and I'm sitting here looking at my child, and I'm thinking, you know, how education is so important, and I want to go back to school, and I want to be able to, you know, preach to him about the importance of completing and moving on and moving your life forward. And at the time, I could not find a place where I could complete my education and also be able to try to sustain my family, my small family. The Corps that I joined had a GED program, and I decided, okay, you know, this will be a great way for me to complete my education and also earn some money to help sustain my son and myself. Once I joined the Corps, it opened up so many avenues to things that I didn't even realize was happening directly in my community. The Corps that I was in, Earth Conservation Corps, their focus was the Anacostia River. That's a river that runs through Washington, D.C., and it was one of the most polluted rivers in the country. And I lived next to that river almost my whole life and had no idea. And so by joining that Corps, I was able to become aware of community issues that I had no idea about, how they affected my family and my community around me. I became very adamant about making my community healthier. And while doing that, it brought out skills that I didn't even know I had, public speaking, project management, being able to be a team player, you know, those soft skills, but then also it provided skills that were in demand if I wanted to follow a path of, conservation in the environment. And so I learned all about our river. We had a program that we did. We had went into schools and taught environmental education to elementary school kids, and it was just a great experience for me. And I didn't even realize that I could build a career from that. I did my 2-year term, and I did a great job there because they offered me to become their project coordinator. And so I stayed at that program for 10 years, and I'm at the Core Network now, and it's kind of like the other side of the coin. At the Core program, it was more boots on the ground, hands-on, direct community work. But the Core Network, as I said, is the National Association of Service and Conservation Corps. So I'm able to help coordinate projects, do technical assistance, and help colleagues in other cities shore up their core programs or start a core by working at the Core Network, because we're able to reach programs across the country. There are about 133 core programs right now that are part of the Core Network, and I encourage you guys to go to our website and check out what core programs are in your area. Your core members are compensated with a stipend or a living allowance, and they often receive an education award or scholarship upon completing their services. I will say that like I said, I did a 2-year term. I ended up with 2 scholarships that I used to, I know a lot of people use theirs to go to community colleges like Maria was talking about. They use them for 4-year colleges. They use them for vocational or training that Brian spoke of. And so there are a number of ways that you can take the time out to do a service year and then have money to continue your education. Sometimes people don't want to go straight to college, or funds are a barrier. And by joining a core program, as an American member, you're guaranteed a scholarship, so that can offset some of your costs. Core programs complete projects in remote wilderness areas or rural communities, and other cores are in more urban areas like here in DC, New York, LA. So any place that across the country, you should be able to find a program that will fit your interests and your location. COREs work on a number of different projects. It depends on what's needed in the community at that time. And so it's a great way to help fund your education. It's a great way to help guide you into a path that you didn't know was there, open your mind to other things, or help you pick what you want to do with the rest of your life. Again, you can go to corenetwork.org. We have a page that has a map with all the cores, and so you can pick where you live and find a core in your area. We have a jobs page, and you can see what core programs are recruiting for core members at that time. And you also can get information about what programs and projects cores are doing in your area. So that's all I have for right now, Christy. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat or the Q&A, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you guys so much.
Great. LaShante, thank you so much. It was really interesting to hear about your experience with the core, and also, talking about a national network for folks to get involved with and find out what those opportunities are. And yeah, the website is in the chat, so please take note of that. And again, I apologize, LaShante, I couldn't figure out how to get your camera back on. It was just one of those, technical glitches that we all have whenever we do these things. So I apologize. But thank you for your talk. So we are next. We'll hear from Elijah Perry. Elijah is the interim executive director of Grid Alternatives Mid-Atlantic, where he directs the workforce development team and the implementation of the SolarWorks DC training program. He also provides strategic planning and manages communications, fundraising, and partnerships. Prior to joining Grid Mid-Atlantic, Elijah was corporate development manager at PFLAG National, and he has also worked for Habitat for Humanity of the Chesapeake, National Children's Hospital Foundation, Feeding America, and the USDA. Elijah attended the University of Maryland in College Park, where he studied and earned his BS degree in paralegal studies. He also received a master's in classical music composition from Berklee College of Music. Elijah, Grid Alternatives offers students and youth from a variety of backgrounds an opportunity to learn a trade and enhance their employability while also helping the planet. How do youth get involved in this program, and what advice can you offer to students in the audience who may not be local to the DC area about finding trade programs that they can learn from?
Hi, Christy. Thank you so much. And I'm having issues trying to turn on my camera as well too. So I'll definitely speak to that. Thank you for inviting me, and definitely thanks to you, to my esteemed panelists, for joining this conversation. As Christy said, I'm Elijah Perry. I'm interim executive director of Grid Mid-Atlantic. Pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm going to give you a little preview of what overview of Grid Mid-Atlantic and our mission and our work, first of all. And it can be summarized in just 3 words: equity, inclusion, and diversity. We are a community development organization, and the way that we develop communities is through solar installations, as well as making sure that they have access to solar jobs and training as well too. One of the programs that we are great, best program I would definitely say, which is close to dear to my heart, is our SolarWorks DC program. And I can try to see if I can share my screen for that presentation. Let's see here. Nope, it's not allowing me to share my screen. All right, so a little bit about the SolarWorks DC program. It's a program that we implement in partnership with the DC Department of Energy and Environment, as well as the Department of Employment Services. We've implemented this program since 2017. And the program is particularly targeted for those individuals, DC residents, who have been on the front lines of environmental justice, as well as social and economic justice in our region. We operate 3 cohorts. We have a spring and fall cohort, which are both 12 weeks. And then we also implement a summer cohort, which is a more condensed cohort of only 6 weeks. The requirement for the more longer program is you have to be 18 and over. So 18 is the minimum, but you could be as old as probably 65. Our last cohort, ironically, we had a 67-year-old man who was a part of the program, and he actually got up on the ladder a lot quicker than I did. So age is definitely not a barrier when it comes to participating in the program. One of the great parts about the program that I really enjoy implementing is the soft skills and case management support that we provide to trainees. A lot of folks, when we hear, LMI, low to moderate income communities, for me, I think that term is talking about, speaks more so to the effect and not the cause. So why are folks a part of these communities? Is because they're under-resourced, they're underserved, and therefore they're underrepresented in the larger scope of like their own community development, that they've grown up in these communities for so many years. We provide to these folks in these communities case management support. Their folks have been experiencing so many great barriers, personal, especially during COVID. With everything now being virtual, like this event as well. So therefore, that's brought on like another barrier of technology, access to internet, laptops. Folks think that because we're in 2021, everyone has cell phones. Oh, everyone definitely has to have a laptop. No, they don't. They have literally their cell phone, and even with that, that creates a barrier for them to be able to participate in the program. And so with our partners at DOEE and DOES, we provide them with laptops and or tablets as well, so they could be able to participate in the program. Our case manager helps out with a broad range of support, providing them with housing. We've had trainees who have gone through some very personal barriers and instances of physical abuse. We help provide them like with EAP and counseling and so forth. And so, at the heart and at the core of the program, that is what SolarWorks DC is about, is definitely providing and like leveling the field for folks in the solar industry. So therefore they can use that as a platform for the career and to live the life that they dream about. To participate, you can go to our website, and I'll put it into the chat, the Grid Mid-Atlantic, gridalternatives.org/Mid-Atlantic. And you can go to our how to get involved, and you'll see in the drop down that there's an option for you to join SolarWorks DC. And if you're not a DC resident, we have another option as well if you want to try to get your foot in to the door of in the solar industry, and that's through our partnership with AmeriCorps. And through AmeriCorps, we provide Solar Core fellowships. We have positions that we post throughout the year, and those positions are typically they last 11 months. You're paid a term of service, and that's a $30,000 living stipend. And at the end of your fellowship, you receive a $6,345 education award. And that can go towards any trade school or college, or you can be able to receive any type of specialized training certificate as well too. And then going back to SolarWorks DC, it's a paid training program. So that's also a highlight. You earn a training wage of $10, and that's paid through our partnership with DOES. So the program is definitely there as another option for you, as you're thinking about, pursuing post education, with a university or college. If that's not on your trajectory, you can definitely go into our program and participate. And you can also, if you're not in our region of DC, Grid, we're supported by a national headquarters office, which provides virtual training as well too. And that certification is also recognized in the industry as well. That's my spiel. I'll take some questions if you like.
Great, Elijah, thank you so much. And I went ahead and pasted in those links so folks can learn more about those opportunities, the paid internships and the SolarWorks DC. So I appreciate that, that presentation. So we are going to go ahead. We have about 15 minutes before the end of the session. We will go ahead and open it up for questions from our participants. So please feel free to, you can enter questions into the chat box or you can use the Q&A box. We do already have a couple of questions, so I'm going to go ahead and start with those. So this is kind of a long one, and I'm going to read it and then I will put it in the box so y'all can see it. So the question is, many of our sponsors are institutions, many of our campus sponsors for the conference are institutions that offer 4-year degrees. And many of the speakers throughout the conference, including this panel, do hold 4-year and advanced degrees. While this panel is focused on alternatives to immediately transitioning from high school to a baccalaureate program, can you speak to the perceived necessity of eventually receiving a bachelor's in order to obtain a rewarding career? So that was a long question. If one of you all wants to tackle that first, that'd be great. And I'll put it in.
Sure, I can start. Because I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier. But I can speak for myself personally that I never honestly entertained anything other than a college degree for myself, which was mainly because I didn't know that there was anything other than college, right? That's kind of what was ingrained upon me as a kid growing up. Not saying that I regret going to college, I don't, but I do know that not everyone wants to go to college or needs to go to college in order to pursue a career that they are passionate about. So I would really employ students to really use the experiences that are offered in high school through CTE and other similar programs to understand what they like and what they don't like, and what's the roadmap to getting the career that they want, which may or may not include a 4-year degree.
Yeah, I would like to piggyback on, oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just also wanted to piggyback on Elijah. I don't have an advanced degree. I did, like I said, I went to the program to finish my high school, and I did receive my GED, but I went straight to work doing this core work. I'm not saying that that is the best option for everyone, but that's the beauty of a core, because you'll get a chance to figure out if that's what you want to do, and then you'll have the scholarship to help support that decision, whether it's college or something vocational or whatever it is. I think that instead of, I didn't think I would go to college. Elijah said that he didn't know anything else but a college degree. It wasn't even on my spectrum at the time. However, that same kid that I had early and wanted to be able to take it, he joined a core, did a gap year, and then used the money to go on to college. So I think that this time now is a time where you can decide, or try to figure out what it is you want to do.
Yeah, and I definitely +1 that as well too. And I believe that was Brian who spoke first as well. And I echo you, LaShante, as well too. I think that for me, I can relate with Brian, because in my family, education was like hammered into my head. I did also see like other options, because like, for example, you look at my bio, and I'm not pursuing law. I did get my master's in classical music composition just because music has been, Maria, you kind of had me jumping out of my seat when you were mentioning about the program that you all have over at Dallas, because I'm like a musician at heart. I don't think, and this is again Elijah's thought process, that you don't really need 4-year degree. I think that, I know folks personally in my personal life who have been actually very successful without it. It's just really, what is the career path that you would like to take as an individual? Like, what is your goal? What is your career goal, and what is the path that you would like to take to get there? And I think as long as it's a path or a plan that really, relates or kind of like, is a career path that resonates with you, I think that that's what matters at the end. One of the great things about SolarWorks DC is that you're not required to have a college degree. There are folks who have gotten GEDs or graduated from high school, and this program is kind of like that bridge in between, the solar career that they would like that you would like to have, and see yourself being a part of. One of the great things also about Grid is that a lot of our employees have come through programs like SolarWorks DC or AmeriCorps, and they didn't have a 4-year degree either. And I think it just really all boils down to you as an individual, what your goals that you would like to set for yourself, and then choosing the path for you to obtain it, or for you to get there.
I wanted to endorse what Brian, Elijah, and Lanchanto. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Lashantia. I'm going to do it in Spanish. Lashantia. Sorry.
It's Lashante.
Lashante. Okay, as you can say Spanish and English and you don't pronounce it the same. I would pronounce it Lashantia. Sorry about that. Lashante. I want to elaborate on this because let's be real. I was a college dropout. I dropped out of college because I was studying the future career, and I'm going to date myself. It was in the 1980s, which was computer science, and I hated it. And my father was an engineer, and I had to be a computer engineer. I had to be an engineer, but I hated it. It was terrible. It was not where my passion was. So I just, it's a soul searching experience, and finding out what you really love to do. Do you like to work outdoors? Do you like to work in nature, or do you prefer a desk? Do you like to work with computers, or do you like to work with people? I think all careers can be eco careers, green careers, because it's what you bring into the work you do. But let's also be clear that the amount of money you will have at the end when you retire is going to be a reflection of your career path. And economically, if each degree that you have you will earn more money. So what we tell our students, with a college degree, with an associate degree, at the end of your career, you will have $1 million more earned with an associate. And then when you get a bachelor's degree, you'll have another $1 million, just because of how it jumps. If you start at $11 an hour, when you go into the workforce, it's not the same as if you start when you have $20 an hour. So yes, bachelor's degrees are important, but the most important is, what are you passionate about? Because do you want to be a mediocre engineer, or do you want to be a really successful welder? I mean, we have welding students that are earning the same as someone who just got a bachelor's degree because they're in demand. Or we have a cybersecurity certificate. These folks are earning, $25, $30 an hour because there's a shortage of cybersecurity techs. And this might be a person that hates to be outdoors, but loves a computer. So, you have to search, where is your passion? What are you good at? And then match it to the career. Don't listen to people that are telling you have to go into this career because this is where you're going to make the money. It's not only about money. It's about making a difference in the world, in leveraging change. So what's important to you? So I would just add that.
Thank you all for responding to that question. That was amazing. It looks like we have time for maybe one more question. So let me go ahead. I'm going to put this in to the box, and I will also read it to you. It is during the pandemic, the resulting recession, and in recessions past, one of the recommendations made to students is to delay full-time work by remaining in school longer, seeking additional degrees, certificates, etc. Do you agree with this recommendation? Why or why not?
Well, school costs money, so I wouldn't suggest staying in school for the sake of it. You know, so with that being said, though, I think the economy is going to be a little tight the next few years. So I would recommend looking for opportunities that would help you to continue building skills, networking, and building your resume. There again, we talk about the short-term programs. There's internships, apprenticeships, fellowships. Some of the core programs that Lashanta was speaking of. So I would prioritize the opportunities to kind of gain experience. It doesn't have to be like actual a 9-to-5 job, so to speak. But some of those other things that I mentioned, where you can again get real world experience, build a network, and build your resume. But again, school costs money, so I would not necessarily suggest staying in school just because, unless you had a purpose for doing so.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree or don't agree with the recommendation, but I will say, like Brian said, cores are a good path during these times. They shifted, a lot of cores shifted their focus on COVID response. And recently, in the last stimulus bill, the Corporation for National Community Service received $1 billion to shore up core work and provide access for more core members to be able to join. And so right now would be a great time to join a core, earn a little money, and find a new pathway. So Brian's right. I don't know about agreeing to stay in school just to stay because it costs money. But if you're looking for an alternative path right now, then a career as a core member, a term of service as a core member would be a great move right now.
Yeah, and I would definitely say to take advantage, like what Brian and Lashanta said as well too. I would like to, I think you should also take advantage of this being in this virtual space. I think with a lot of seems like everything now is moved into a virtual platform and allows you the flexibility to be able to like earn that additional trade like Brian and skill set that Brian was talking about, and also be able to secure and find work as well too. One of the things that I love about sound like a Missy Elliott remix here talking about SolarWorks DC, but one of the things I love about it is the fact that it really helps us to be able to provide the program and training based on folks' availability to participate in the program. So whatever barriers you might have, I think that seeking out a program similar to SolarWorks DC or trade, which we can connect you with through Grid, is definitely the way to go. And I plus one what Brian and Lashanta said as well too about staying in school just for the sake of it. I mean, education is already very expensive, and like Maria said, going into additional debt when you don't have like a real end game or end goal to doing so is not the way to go either. So definitely do your research and find resources that would actually and programs honestly that will work around like your availability and your ability to be able to seek out employment in other industries.
Yeah, I would just add, it's better to just volunteer for the company you want to work with, get your foot in the door, and most probably if it's a big company, they will train you. Now, statistics show that when the economy is down, a lot of people go back to school. but choose, if you want to go back to school or stay in school, stay at something that's very cost effective. Definitely go down a technical program, CTE, or something in community colleges. Do not go into debt to continue to be in school. That would be my pearls of wisdom. But then again, we're out of time. Thank you, Christy.
Okay, thank you all for that advice. It makes a lot of sense. And, you know, during all of the presentations this afternoon, there was a lot of opportunities highlighted for students getting ready to graduate, or, you know, figuring out what their next move is. So thank you, Maria and Brian and Elijah and LaShante, for your time today. It was greatly appreciated. The session was recorded, so we will share that with everyone. And just want to let folks know the closing session is starting right now. So please go over to the main stage and listen to that. And we thank you for joining us this afternoon. Thank you. Take care.